Chapter 18 Teammates are important. Mrs. Tong Yu's perceptive eyes fell on Mo Fan's body. While she was probing Mo Fan's aura, her lips couldn't help but open up. Mo Fan, you sure have the guts to stand up. A school semester has gone by, yet you haven't been able to control a single fire element star. Your star is still dark, so much so that you can't even see it yet. Don't try to act like you're something. Zhao Kunsen immediately said, there was a test during the end of the last semester. This test was to check the tempo of the students' cultivation. There were definitely no accidents occurring. Mo Fan's stardust wasn't any different from when he first awakened it. The entire class knew this, and that totally did not cause Zhao Kunsen and Yu Bai laughter. If you're an idiot, then you're an idiot. So what if he awakened the fire element? He would never become a mage in his entire lifetime. Your talent in the fire element is very good, so how come your cultivation is so low? Mo Fan, there are numerous people who wish to become a fire magician, and you already have an advantage which many people don't. You must put in the effort. Mrs. Tong Yue looked at Mo Fan as she said in pity. I understand, Mrs. Tong Yue. Mo Fan nodded. After going through meditation, a magician's spiritual force would become powerful. Its power would reach the point where they were able to perceive details which normal people couldn't. They would also be able to perceive the aura of another mage. Through the aura's intensity, one could roughly determine a magician's cultivation level. Mo Fan knew from the start it wasn't possible to hide his cultivation. However, there was this one thing. If Mo Fan were to conceal the power of the lightning element and only reveal the aura of the fire element, then others would only be able to sense the fire element's aura. Thus, they were only able to determine the fire element's cultivation level while being unable to sense the other element. That was why Mo Fan could normally just use the fire element to fool other people. The second I wanted to focus on the fire element, an amazing fire element teacher suddenly appeared at my door. It seems like there's hope for me to complete the activation of the primary skill, Fire Burst, before the big examination. Mo Fan's confidence immediately increased. Why is this woman looking at me with an odd expression? It seems like she's called Joman, the top student in the class and also a fire element user. Mo Fan was puzzled. I don't think I've ever offended this girl, Joman, so why is she looking at me with such a hostile gaze? On the other side, Jo Min's brows creased. Seeing the study rec called Mo Fan looking at her, she immediately and ferociously glared at him. Jo Min was unhappy, extremely unhappy. What qualifications does Mo Fan have to possess a better talent in fire element than me? The homeroom teacher, Shui Misheng, once said Mo Fan's talent in fire element was the best in the entire class. During the awakening, the flames were very clear, and now, this extremely amazing Mrs. Tong Yue also commented on how his talent was good. Forget it, there's no need to get angry over this kind of study rec. Either way, when the annual examination comes and he doesn't meet the qualifications, he'll be asked to leave school. This guy will have one last half year of leisure. I just really don't understand. It's obvious that his family situation isn't good. They sacrificed everything just so he could enter the Tian Lan Magic High. Yet, after awakening the fire element, he's decadent and lazy. How is he able to face his family? Did a dog eat his consciousness? Thanks to Zhao Kunsen and Yu Bai, the entire class basically knew that Mo Fan was squeezed into the class. Your homeroom teacher has already spoken to me about the importance of the annual examination. First, if you don't meet the requirements, then you'll be asked to leave the school. Second, they'll divide you into different classes based on your grades. If you're placed in the elite class, then you'll obtain certain benefits that will give you an advantage on the Magic University's exams. Thus, this school semester, everyone should have no reason to not put in their utmost effort, Mrs. Tong Yue said to everyone. Mrs. Tong Yue, will you be teaching the elite class? A male student asked. Yeah, if everything goes according to the plans, I will be assigned to be the practical magic teacher for the elite class after I've finished teaching you. Tong Yue slightly nodded her head. Teacher, I, Yangguo. Oh, I, Huang Feifeng will definitely do my best. Mrs. Tong Yue, I want to follow you in the future as well. Tong Yue maintained a gentle smile as she could tell that her first class today was pretty successful. The student's passion for studying has been lifted. Oh right, when any of you are able to control 7 stars, then you can come and find me in private. I will take some time off of my schedule to teach you some more, Tong Yue continued. Clamor. A wolf howl suddenly resounded from the class. 7 stars. it suddenly became the striving objective for everyone. I'm not too far from 7 stars, Mrs. Tong Yue. Wait for me. Are you for real? How many can you control? 2. Get lost. I can do 3. That's better than you dregs. Huang Feifeng said with his face filled with pride. 3 stars and you still have the face to stand here and act arrogant. I'm almost at 4. Don't you know that it gets harder as you progress? Xu Qinglin asked in disdain. That's funny, real funny. You groups of wastes, Mu Bai is already in control of 5 stars. In the next semester, he could spend 3 days fishing and 2 days browse the internet and he's still able to reach 7 stars. The first one to work with Mrs. Tong Yue will definitely be Mu Bai. Zhao Kunsen immediately said in ridicule. Sheet, Mu Bai is that amazing? 5 stars, how did he cultivate like that? That's too amazing. I heard that the most amazing student in the school, the 7th class's lightning student, has only been able to control 5 as well. Feeling the discussion surrounding him, Mu Bai felt his entire being beginning to float. However, in order to show his mature and collected temperament, Mu Bai wouldn't expose his approval for the compliments towards him. That would just make him look like a complete douche. This guy, Zhao Kunsen, he was a little stupid, and he was not reliable when it came to doing things. However, there was one thing that was very good about him. When the master wants attention, yet can't display it, Zhao Kunsen would jump in with the right timing. It's not like I can personally jump out and say, this daddy can already control 5, every time someone is discussing 3 or 2 stars and then get shocked by 4 stars. That'd be cheap, too cheap. It doesn't conform with the temperament of being the young master of my family. If we put it in Zhao Kunsen's words, it fits perfectly well. This way he could show everyone he was amazing, and not diminish his manners. Life is like playing League of Legends. Not only do you have to be good at it, it is also very important for teammates to know how to conform to you. Chapter 19 Wind Force, Wind Trail. Hot air flowed over the mountains, engulfing the south and exchanging the embrace of spring for the humidity of summer. Following this came heavy rain, a good omen, destroying the leaves and leaving the flowers to wither. Bo City was regarded as a city with many seasons, however, sometimes it could get exceedingly unruly. Just this morning, the sun was fierce and illuminating. There was not a single cloud that could be seen for thousands of miles. The nap he took felt the same as the one with which he crossed worlds, a strange gust with the black clouds covering the entire sky. As it became evening, the torrential rain and wind became ice cold. Is there a storm coming? This crap weather. It is randomly happening all year round. It becomes whatever season it wants without skipping a beat. Zhang Xiaohou complained from within the dorms. Zhang Xiaohou, aren't you a wind element user? Come, you should go out into the storm and see if you can activate the primary skill of wind element, Wind Trail. Lu Xiaobing from the same dorm said. Don't you freaking have the water element? Why aren't you going out and showing the water barrier, oh magnificent water magician? You're still using an umbrella when you go out, aren't you ashamed when you go out? Lu Xiaobing's face turned pale. Truly, a water element magician should technically have a wind jacket in the rain. The problem is, it's almost time for the annual examination. Lu Xiaobing could only control 4 stars, thus, there was still quite a distance from him being able to activate the water element skill, Water Barrier. Zhang Xiaohou, can you really use Wind Trail? Why don't you show us? The truth is, other than seeing that violent girl, Joman, using Fire Burst, we haven't seen anyone else in class use proper magic. The dorm head, who talked about his lewd thoughts about Mrs. Tong Yue every day, said. It's not going so well, I can't guarantee 100% succession. Zhang Xiaohou said with a slight shyness. Monkey, show it to us. I also want to see what the wind element skill looks like. Mo Fan's eyes beamed as he put down the theory book in his hands. The place is too small. Use the hallway is long enough. Okay, let me try. But I'm really not proficient at it. Zhang Xiaohou nodded his head. It's already the end of the term, and Zhang Xiaohou had quite the talent. He was one of the very small number of people in the class that could control 7 stars. Everyone was curious about the skills of every element. Naturally, they also wanted to see Zhang Xiaohou use his. Zhang Xiaohou closed his eyes and began to enter the activation state. He was really slow. It was clear that he wasn't very good at controlling the stars. He maintained the rhythm of his breathing, and the breathing was audible. Whoosh! Suddenly, the books on the table began to move. The dormitory's old doors began to creak. The dust on the floor began to rise, and swirled the dirty underwear beneath the bed. As the boss of the dormitory was about to grab it, the underwear elegantly avoided his hands and floated unrestricted in the wind. Wind trail, fast stride. Zhang Xiaohu's entire temperament changed. An azure color emerged within his eyes as his lapel began to brandish. Along with his incantations, the toothbrush, cups, and clothing racks clattering about. They were all moving according to the trail. Mo Fan quickly composed himself to watch this scene. From these pieces of junk and the swirling dust, he surprisingly discovered an unusual airstream in the dormitory. This stream of air originated from Zhang Xiaohu's location. It spread all the way from the hall to the other side of the hallway's public toilet. Swoosh! Suddenly, Zhang Xiaohu's figure disappeared. The former unmoving Zhang Xiaohu standing in the center of the dormitory became as though he used the ripple tiny steps. The speed was as fast as a whirlwind as he frantically charged out of his dorm and followed the indiscernible wind track in the air that went toward the toilet at the end of the hallway. "That's awesome!" Lu Xiaobing yelled out. The group of people in the dormitory immediately squeezed themselves out the door and chased after Zhang Xiaohu. However, as everyone exited their dorms, Zhang Xiaohu had already quickly shifted from the left side of the hallway to the very end of the hall. Too fast. Any 100-meter sprinter's speed would be pathetic compared to this movement. Mo Fan felt a ripple in his heart. The wind element's primary skill was also really cool. The feeling of stepping onto the wind track must be amazing. "Help! Help!" Zhang Xiaohu called out. Pung! The hallway suddenly trembled. As Mo Fan just finished his envying sigh, the Zhang Xiaohu in the distance hit the door of the public toilet. People began to laugh at him. The crooked faucet began to spray wildly, and a part of the toilet door was broken. A strong and fishy stink quickly spread out throughout the entire floor as there now was no door to prevent the smell. In a split second, cursing voices were heard. The wind track finally dissipated. Zhang Xiaohu was lying on the ground with his nose bleeding. This appearance was already pretty miserable. Unfortunately, the underwear that followed the flow of the wind lost the wind force and finally landed the poor guy's face. Lu Xiaobing and the dorm head hastily dragged Zhang Xiaohu back to his dorm. The dorm head took back his underwear and opened it to find a blood stain. "Dorm head, I didn't know you also had menstruation periods," Lu Xiaobing cracked up. "Get out of here." The dorm head reluctantly threw his beloved underwear into the bin. Mo Fan silently retracted his head and returned to his bed before the residence manager charged over in a fury. He acted as though nothing had ever happened. "The wind element's skill seems good. This movement speed was not any slower than that of a car. It's just Zhang Xiaohu hasn't met the standards, thus, he didn't know how to pull over and stop. You group of brats. The annual examination is near, and you still aren't properly meditating. Instead, you're here doing these things. If I see this happening again, I'll skin you alive." The residence manager's roar spread across the entire hallway in this wind and rain. The annual examination had finally arrived, and for a lot of people, today was a nightmare. This was because there was a chance that they would be expelled from the school, and these people counted as the most tragic and most shameless who had to go back and meet their parents. However, studying magic was not a child's game. Every Magic High's system worked like this. If you were not suited to study magic, then you would be expelled early, giving them another way so they wouldn't continue to waste their time in the borderless magic sea. To those students who had been doing their best in cultivating, today was the day they could show their results. Particularly for those students who could already use their skills. The stormy days had already passed. The morning's weather was sunny, and the summer air was clear. Within the Mu Manor, Mu Bai specifically wore a white t-shirt with plum embroidery and iron trousers. His entire being gave off a low-profile feeling, not wanting to show off his family background. With his handsome exterior and his low-profiled outfit that didn't fail to show his elegance, he had already captured the affection of many girls. However, with him being a legitimate member of the Mu family, how could he fancy any of these common and vulgar women? His objective was a proud girl like Mu Ningzhu. Of course, if Mrs. Tongyue were willing to give in, he would be willing as well. Mu Bai, you have to show off today. You have to know that our Mu family will distribute a few cultivation resources to some of the young disciples. The distribution is based on the contribution of their family and the cultivation grades of the young disciples. You have to work hard for this branch family of yours that has almost been forgotten by the Mew family. Mew he personally sent Mew Bai to school in his black limousine this morning. Mew he was the supervisor of Tien Lan Magic High. He personally arranged the annual examination today. No matter what, Mew Bai was still his nephew. Mew he hoped for Mew Bai to give him some face in front of the other supervisors. Uncle, please don't worry, Mew Bai said with the utmost confidence. As he finished speaking, Mew Bai suddenly thought of something. He turned over and whispered, Uncle, I heard that Mew Ningzhu is also coming to Tien Lan Magic High today?